when it kind of progressively gets darker and like the lights start flickering and stuff, he would like kind of bury his head in my shoulder and be like, spooky, spooky mama. And then when it like all this cycle ends and it restarts and it gets, light again, then he turned to me, he's like, not spooky mama. And it was just really funny how he was like, oh, like it's not spooky anymore. But like then the fish went away and then he was upset that he couldn't see the fish.
Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the DCL Duo podcast, brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel. And Sam, it's jingle time.
Woohoo! Simply the best. Better than all the rest.
Yes, that is true. We have our listener review. This
People probably think we're so full of ourselves that we do that.
We're like two of actually the most humble people you'll ever meet. Like, well, maybe not Sam. All right. All right, this review, we are finally wrapping up our reviews from Canada. This one comes from Movie Fan 777. All the way back in the Wayback Machine from April of 2021, who writes, great Disney cruise content and more. The reason the DCL Duo podcast is so refreshing is that it offers honest, independent content and opinions without an underlying sales pitch. There's a mix of all things Disney, including the parks and entertainment, with genuine guests who offer useful advice. Keep up the great content. Well, thank you, Movie Fan 777. We have kind of abandoned our general Disney ways in favor of just really focusing in on the cruise line and Adventures by Disney. But we hope you're still out there enjoying the content. And I will just say a big thank you to you. And as always, everyone out there listening, remember, one of the easiest ways to help support our show, head over to Apple Podcasts, hit those 5 stars. And if you leave us a written review along with your 5-star rating, we will read it on the air at the top of one of our main episodes. And as I've been saying lately, like, feel free to hit those stars, those thumbs, those hearts, like whatever symbol says you like the duo on whatever podcast platform you are using. Hit it. And we may find a way to dig up those reviews as well. But
yeah. And don't forget to follow us on the socials, because we post a lot on our Instagram and on our Facebook. Of course, subscribe to us on YouTube if you're not already, but it really does help get our content, out there to more ears and eyes. So we very much appreciate that level of visibility. But yeah, thanks for the review. And let's start the show, Brian.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. I am super excited. We did actually kind of a call out to our listeners to say, hey, if you're sailing on the Destiny with younger age kids, we'd be interested to find out what your younger age kids think of the Destiny, because we sailed on the early sailings of the Destiny with our son, Nathan, who's 12. And of course, that's a very different experience than sailing with, let's say, preschoolers or younger elementary kids. And we were so excited when we heard from several listeners, including our guest today, Jessica. Welcome to the show, Jessica.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Thanks for reaching out. We very much appreciate it. We think this is important for us to make sure that, well, not make sure. I mean, Disney has their own idea of who their target audience is for all of their ships and maybe for individual ships as well. And we've definitely been curious to hear from people like you who have younger kids and what their impressions of the Destiny were and whether or not the ship has enough to offer for those younger sailors as well as adults and maybe older, kids and young teens. But Jessica, before we get into today's show topic and talking about your cruise on the Destiny, we got to ask your Disney background. I know you're not far from Disneyland down in Southern California, but tell us, what's your sort of Disney background?
So I grew up in Northern California, so I got a couple trips to Disneyland when I was a kid. And then, of course, grew up with the Disney movies in the 80s and 90s. And then I moved to Southern California when I went to grad school and then got married. And I've been down here for almost about over 20 years now. And my husband and I went to Disneyland quite a few times over the years, and then started going on the cruises a few years ago.
Awesome. And how old are your kids, and how many Disney cruise sailings have you guys been on prior to going on the Destiny on this most recent cruise?
So we have a 9-year-old daughter, a 7-year-old daughter, and then a son who, just turned 7. And then my son is turning 3 in a couple months.
Oh my gosh. So really, so 9 and 7, so kind of middle elementary age, and then almost 3-year-old. So a nursery age. I love that. I love that.
So they're maybe a little young for that, but are any of them like big Disney villains fans or big Marvel people? Like, I'm just curious.
Not Marvel.
That's what I'm saying. But like heading into the cruise, like given the focus on heroes and villains, like where would you say your kids were at?
So my second daughter and my son both like Spider-Man a lot. And then my oldest daughter is more of a princess girl, but she and her sister are both really into getting autographs from different Disney characters. And so they didn't have any of the villains, with the exception of like the Wicked stepsisters that we got at Disney World last year. And so they were super excited to get some villain autographs for their collection.
Oh, cool. I like that. That's really fun.
Were they able to do that? Were the villains on board signing things?
They did both meet and greets in addition to the shows that they did, or the meet and plays that they did.
Nice. Awesome. Well, let's dive in as to how many sailings had you all been on before, and why did you book the Destiny in particular?
So this is our 4th cruise. Our first cruise was on the Magic when I was pregnant with my son. It was our baby moon, and that's actually what got us into Disney cruising. Was I wanted to take a baby moon, and I couldn't figure out how to do it with our older kids, and then a cruise sounded like a perfect option when I got an ad for that on my social media. And so we did a cruise last fall on the Dream, and we were like in the lead up to that cruise. And my husband made the mistake of saying, well, maybe we could do another cruise in the spring. You can look into it. And I swear within like 24 hours, this cruise like picked out and booked.
See, I hear you can look into it as like you can book it.
You can book it.
That's what I would do. If Sam said that to me, I'd be like, okay, I'm booking something.
And it was the newest ship. I mean, it wasn't out yet, but it was going to be the newest ship. And then it was actually only a couple $100 more than our Dream cruise, like for this week that we picked. And it was also a good week because it was like right before President's Day, and my kids had a couple days off school. And so that was the reason that we picked the specific cruise.
Awesome. And you picked a 5-night itinerary, not a 4-night itinerary on the Destiny. Was that just because the dates worked, or are you like, I can't fly from California to Florida for anything less than 5 nights?
Exactly. If I'm going to Florida, I'm going for at least 5 nights. I would have preferred to be longer, but of course on the Destiny, they don't give you that option.
Absolutely. Now, when did you fly into to Florida relative to when you're sailing, when your cruise out of Fort Lauderdale was leaving?
So we actually stopped in Atlanta first. We flew into Atlanta the Friday before. This was a Monday to Saturday sailing. So we flew into Atlanta the Friday before. So my kids had wanted to go to the Atlanta Aquarium, or the Georgia Aquarium in Atlanta, ever since we saw a documentary on it during COVID times. And they wanted to see the whale shark and the beluga whales. And so we flew there first to go to the aquarium. We also went to the Center for Puppetry Arts in Atlanta, which has an exhibit on the Muppets, which I love the Muppets. And I know you do too, Sam.
Yeah. I why have we not gone there, Brian? I did not know. Well, I'll be honest, I did not know that Atlanta had like any kind of famous aquarium. We have a great aquarium here in Seattle, and there's a great one in Vancouver as well. So I just never really have like thought of Atlanta as a place to go for an aquarium. No shade on Atlanta. It's just not something I've heard of.
It's the biggest one in the country.
Wow, that's
really,
cool.
Really big.
Yeah. Okay. Well, now it's I got to add some stuff to my list, my travel list. But obviously, I love puppetry, and obviously, I love the Muppets. So yeah, that would be amazing. How was? I mean, so did you spend a couple nights in Atlanta then before heading to Florida, or? Yeah, or just
yes,
like
we were there for 2 nights, and then we flew to Fort Lauderdale Sunday night.
Okay, and you got to tell me how was the aquarium, and how was the puppetry exhibit?
The aquarium was wonderful. We actually were super lucky because we got 2-day tickets, and the first day that we went, the whale shark was like in perfect display and swimming around. And we got to see that. And the second day we went, it actually hid most of the day. It was like over in the other part where it wasn't visible to the guests. So we lucked out. We got to see it on our first try. The beluga whales were like super playful the first day that we went. The second day they were more standoffish. So it was great that we got to see them kind of the first day and not just the second day. And then my daughter, we went to the dolphin show that they have, like just a spur of the moment. And we decided to go to their dolphin show. And my daughter actually got picked to be the like special kid like assistant. I got to like pet the dolphin and like play fetch with the dolphin. And so she loved it.
That's amazing. And how are the Muppets? I mean, more importantly.
The Muppets are wonderful. So at the Puppetry Museum, they have a show that they do and they change it periodically. So the show that we saw was Pete the Cat. And my
we love Pete the Cat.
So it was great. My younger daughter really loved that. And my son was like enraptured the whole time. And then my older daughter thought it was a little boring. She was a little bit too old for it. But it was great. I mean, they do really cute like puppet, tricks. And the show was about an hour. And then they have a little make your own puppet thing that we didn't unfortunately get to do because we went to the exhibits first. But I spent like a good at least like half hour, 45 minutes in the Muppet exhibit, like looking at the different things they had. They had like a life-size Big Bird and like quite a few of the Muppets in there and like just information about Jim Henson and all the different really cool things that they do.
I tell you what, Sam, we should see if there's a place where you can go do a custom Muppet and like we should do an entire show of us as Muppets. Yeah.
Oh my God, Brian, there is some place I think that you can order like a custom Muppet of yourself. Like there's somebody out there who does that. I don't think it's like it's not like a licensed Jim Henson like Muppet, right? But like I'm pretty sure. But I would love a Muppet of myself. I feel like it should be like, I feel like my Muppet should be purple. I don't know why, but I feel like it should have like a purple face. It's just, yeah.
Purple's my favorite color. Mine would have to be purple too.
And purple's not my favorite color. I want to be clear. Like actually green and blue are my two favorite colors. But I just feel like a purple Muppet is just like I feel like that would be me. I don't know. I don't know why it just came to me. Oh, I'm so jealous, Jessica. That sounds like an amazing like pre-trip stay. Okay. So then you're flying so you're close. I mean, from Atlanta to Fort Lauderdale, but still a flight, of course. I mean, you could drive, but it's a long drive. Did you go down then the morning of your sailing or did you go the night before?
The night before, like late the night before.
And then where did you guys stay in Fort Lauderdale?
Just one of the Holiday Inns, a few miles from the port.
Now, tell us, what did you use for transportation to the port? Did you just like book a Lyft or Uber? Or did the hotel have a shuttle service or any kind of Disney transportation?
We just took a taxi.
Super easy. I feel like from all of the hotels down near the port in Fort Lauderdale, you're fine with a taxi, you're fine with an Uber, you're fine with a Lyft, right? Like it's pretty easy to get to the port. You can't really walk into the port area though. I don't know that they let you do that or if it's kind of industrial, kind of entryway anyway. All right. Well, so tell us like, when did you get to the port? What was your port arrival time? And tell us like how long did you wait in the sort of boarding process before getting onto the ship?
Our taxi took a little bit longer to get than we expected because I had called early and then they forgot about me. So then we got there a little bit later than we intended. I think our port arrival time was like 12:45, but we ended up getting there like right around that time and we weren't like super late to it. And then once we got checked in almost immediately, and then our boarding group was already called. So we just got to go straight into line to get on the ship.
Awesome. Now, had you been on a Wish class ship before, or was the Destiny your first Wish class?
This is our first Wish class ship.
Okay, yeah. So you'd always been on either Dream class or Magic class previously. It's a very different atrium experience when you walk into the Grand Hall than when you walk into the atrium on one of the first four ships. What were your like first impressions of the Grand Hall of the Disney Destiny?
I thought it was beautiful. I loved all the lights or the lighting that they had. And then the stage area, which is very different from the other ships that we've been on. And yeah, I just thought it was really, really pretty.
Yeah. Did you see Superhero Minnie when you boarded or was somebody else up in the balcony?
We did see Superhero Minnie, but I'm not sure if it was when we boarded or if we saw her like right after we boarded. But yeah, she was definitely there.
Yeah, there's always like a character. Well, I shouldn't say always. There are times where they're changing out characters, so you might have a little bit of a lag in between characters. But on embarkation day during boarding time, there's usually a character up in the balcony, and not always Hero Minnie, but Hero Minnie is a prominent one on the Destiny, of course. Well, what did you guys do like right after boarding? It's obviously a new ship for you, but were you like, we got to go get some lunch at Marceline Market? We got to go do sit down lunch. We got to go visit the kids clubs and do kind of orientation check in. Like, what was your plan of action?
Unfortunately, we had to go straight to try to get our dining time changed because we were at the later dining and we were trying to get it moved earlier. So that had to be the first thing that we needed to do.
Were you successful?
We were. I was actually thinking there was no way that was going to happen because you could hear little bits of conversation for the people like ahead of us, and it sounded like they were saying, "Well, check your app, 15 minutes prior to dinner to see if we were able to change you." And then I got up there, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we got you taken care of. Yeah, it's fine." And I'm like, "But really?"
Yeah. I wonder if those other people were trying to change dining rotations, right? Like, because they might, instead of early versus late. So you can make, like, for those who don't know, you can, of course, ahead of time when you're booking your cruise, you can book early or late dining depending upon what's available. And early dining tends to be more difficult to get, like more, because a lot of families with young children are looking for that early dining spot, and so that tends to fill up with exceptions being in Europe late dining tends to be more popular, and in Alaska late dining tends to be more popular. But in general, in other USA port cruises, we're talking early dining tends to be the more popular of the two. So if you're booking early, you can always get whatever you want. But if you didn't book your cruise right away, and obviously, Jessica, for you guys, this was not, you booked only a few months in advance. And so that early dining was probably fully booked. But there are other requests you can make for dining, such as a particular dining rotation. Like, I want to start my dining rotation in Lion King. I want to start my dining rotation in 1923, whatever, and those requests might be more difficult to accommodate. Whereas if you're just flexible, I want early versus late or late versus early, that might be a little bit easier. Okay, so you take care of the dining. Where do you guys all head next?
We went to Marceline Market to go get lunch.
Nice. Now, have you ever done sit-down lunch, or have you always done the buffet, given your kids' ages and just trying to get food into them quickly?
I think we've only done the sit-down lunch once on embarkation day.
How was that experience? And have you decided, okay, buffet lunch is going to be our way of our plan of action?
Yeah, I think with the kids, it's just easier to do the buffet. We've done buffet 3 times and sit down 1 time. And the sit down was really nice and relaxing. And it was really nice. It was just, I think it's just easier to kind of head up to the buffet and get something quick.
Yeah, it's definitely a longer process. And especially with your almost 3-year-old, right? Like, he probably doesn't want to sit for that long in the same place and wait to be served his mac and cheese or whatever he's having for lunch.
I think even before we went up and got lunch, we ended up, there was a Cruella meet and greet on the way. And so we stopped into that first. So the kids were very hungry by the time we ended up making it to Facilier Market. I think it was like almost 2:00 by the time we ended up making it up there.
Nice. Well, tell us, like you mentioned, your girls were looking forward to getting autographs from characters. Was there anyone that you were concerned they might be scared of, like who might be a little bit too scary or a little too creepy? Like, I kind of feel like we've talked about this a little bit, like Dr. Facilier, I wouldn't necessarily say he's like scary, but he's kind of seductive and creepy. And I don't know if you had any concerns about, particularly like your 7-year-old and your almost 3-year-old. Your 9-year-old probably was fine. But yeah, any concerns about that? And did they come to fruition if you did?
So, I mean, usually my husband's pretty good about going with us. And so if like one of them had gotten nervous or wanted to opt out, they could have just gone to dad and he would have, taken care of it. But no, the kids were pretty good with it. I was probably most nervous about Dr. Facilier, just not knowing what to expect. And he does come off a little creepy, like you said. But overall, the kids did fine. Even the almost 3-year-old did fine. meeting the characters and didn't. I mean, my son doesn't want to get too close to them and won't hug them yet or take pictures with them yet unless I'm holding him. But as far as he didn't cry or get too scared. If anything, he might bury his face in my shoulder if he got a little spooked. That was it.
I'm curious, heading into this cruise, how much prep did you do with the kids, and what were they most excited about on board?
I don't know that I did any specific prep with them. I think my daughters were just really super excited to be going on a cruise at all. And then, but they were, I think, very excited about, meeting the villains. And my oldest daughter really just isn't interested in Marvel at all. And so she was like, oh, Marvel themed stuff, really? But as far as meeting Cruella DeVille and Maleficent, she's like, I hope we get to meet them. I really, really want their autographs and I really want to get my picture with them. So she was excited about, those opportunities.
Yeah. Now, did you also sign up for the Royal Gathering, which for those who don't know, the Royal Gathering is a princess meet and greet. Call it a ticketed event, which is meaning that you have to sign up for it or register for it in advance through the app, or potentially you could sign up on board as well if spots are open. And it doesn't cost any money, but it is a thing you have to reserve, especially for your 9-year-old who is really into the princesses. Did you sign up for the Royal Gathering so that she could meet the princesses in addition to the villains?
We did not, just because we've done it on 2 previous cruises, and she already has all their autographs, so she's fine with it.
Gotcha. She's checked them off their list. She doesn't need to meet them again, is what you're saying.
She just is looking for Merida at one of the parks at this point, and that's the only one she still needs to cross off.
Okay, so she's a completionist. She doesn't care about repeating. All right.
Yes, very much so.
Did you did you consider going on the Wish at all? Because that's the ship of the princesses.
The princess ship.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
The 3 and 4 nights are a drawback.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, I got to ask about the kids club, because one of the things that we always talk about with the Wish class is the kids club. Personally, our son thinks that, and I think that the Wish class has sort of the best kids club. The way it's sort of laid out, the different rooms, the different activities, different interactive thing. I mean, they bring characters they do that in all the kids clubs and across the fleet, but I just think they do it the best on the Wish class. I'm curious, your 2 olders were in Oceaneers Club. Your younger was, of course, a nursery age. It's a small world nursery age. What did your kids think about the kids club? Did they spend any time there? And if so, did they like the kids club spaces?
My 9-year-old was kind of not loving the kids club on this cruise. I think she's just kind of getting a little old for it, and she wasn't really that eager to go. She wanted to spend more time by herself and reading and doing other things. My 7-year-old loved the kids club. We could hardly get her out of it, and there were a couple of times when I tried to take her to different things in the atrium, and she would just run off and go down the slide. The kids club if she doesn't want to stay.
See ya,
exactly.
Mom.
She will see ya.
That was how Nathan was at that age. I feel like at like 8, I think, was kind of the perfect, 7, 8 is kind of the perfect age for the Oceaneers Club. As they get to be 9 and 10, they do tend to, I feel like, kind of age out, which is, I have to say, in retrospect, I was annoyed when Disney changed the age of the kids club and made it, till 10, and then they made the tween club start at 11. It used to be that the Oceaneer Club went till age 12, and so you could go to either the tween club or the Oceaneers Club if you were 11 or 12. But actually now, seeing Nathan as a 12-year-old, and even when he was a 10 and 11-year-old, he does fit more in that tween category and was less interested in although there are still some, he still loves Stitch's Space Goo and a couple other things they do at the Oceaneers Club. But,
oh my God, if we could get no more Stitch's Space Goo.
Yeah, Stitch's Space Goo, I just want to put a hard no on Space Goo does not come home with us. Nathan knows that. He's allowed to make it on the ship, but it's not coming home with us. There's no slime is allowed in the duo household whatsoever. It's just, it's forbidden. So the 7-year-old loved the kids club. What about your toddler? Did he enjoy the nursery, or is he more of I don't want to let go of mom and dad?
So we've put him in the nursery on previous cruises, and he was never thrilled about it. He doesn't go to daycare. My husband's a stay-at-home dad, so he doesn't go to daycare. He stays either with us or with grandparents, and that's it. And so he was not thrilled when we took him to, we call it the baby club. And we did take him a few times because I thought he was too young for the shows and wasn't going to stay still, or, he was going to act out. So we would make the reservations so that we could enjoy the shows without a toddler. And we would get the notifications from the club saying, like, we are trying to calm him down. We are doing our best. And we'd be like, oh, this isn't good.
That means he doesn't want to stay. Yes.
They did figure out after a couple of attempts that if they put on the Cars movie, that he would watch it with like sullenly and like not be thrilled, but he would at least like watch it. And one of the caregivers was like, he was narrating it for me. He was telling me what was going to happen in the movie because he watched it so many times. So at least we were able to feel like not too bad about taking him. But on this cruise, like he immediately was like, no baby club, no baby club. And he like just did not want to go at all. And so my husband's like, let's take him to the shows, see how he does. And like, we'll just see if we can not take him and not like make him upset and stress him out on this cruise.
No, I mean, I get that. Like, not every kid is a kids club kid, and the younger ones are just harder with that, especially younger kids who aren't used to going to like a daycare environment. I think that definitely adds a layer of stranger discomfort. I will say Nathan was an avid Cars movie watcher from the time he was little as well. So that was.
Well, it's just down the hall from the kids club. So every time we'd have to like walk by in order to pick up the older kids at kids club, be like, no baby club, no baby club. Like, no, we're not. We're just going to go get your sisters. Like, we're not going to take you in there.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I wonder when he's 3 and he can go to the kids club with big sisters, like, I wonder if he will be more open to that.
Oh, he wants to go to the big kids club because we took him to one of the toddler times in the kids club.
The Mickey and Minnie room. Yeah.
Yeah, into the room off of the main kids club. And he had a ball. He loved it. He was like doing little bowling. He was climbing on the structures, and he'd be like, no baby club. I want to go big kids club.
Oh, yeah. So that might be an easier transition once he turns 3. Well, for those who don't know, if your child is age 3 and they're potty trained, they can go to the Oceaneers Club. If they're age 3 and they're not potty trained, they can still go to the nursery. It's only when they turn 4 that you don't have a choice anymore. That it's Oceaneers Club or nothing. So, all right. Well, let's talk about some other stuff you all did as a family. Did you mentioned you went to the meet and greets where the characters would give the signature and take a picture. Did you do like the Dr. Facilier Parlor activity, which of course, as we know, when we've talked about on the show, long lines. So if so, yeah, were you able to do that, and were you able to do it with the kids?
We did. So I went and sat in line for a while with like 1 or 2 of the kids, and then my husband came with the other kids later once we got closer to the front. And we did go in. We were one of the last groups to go, so we waited for a while. But my oldest daughter, kind of pronounced it like, it was kind of boring. My younger ones, I don't know that they like didn't care for it either way. They weren't particularly scared or, really interested in it. My husband actually was one of the ones called up to the table. He wasn't the one that like he ended up doing the trick with, but he got called up to the table and was like, God, what is it with this trip? My daughter, Ruby gets called up to do the dolphin show. Now my husband gets picked to do the Dr. Facilier. It was just kind of funny.
I take it then you and your husband enjoyed it, but the kids were kind of less, it sounds like the kids were less interested in it.
I think my husband didn't like being put on the spot. He doesn't really... I think he was kind of like, what did you get me into? I was just standing there in the corner being like...
Well, did you think that Dr. Facilier was good? I think I thought the one that we saw, I think you probably saw the same one we did because they just changed over the cast in the last week or two. And you went just a few weeks ago. So you would have gone probably right before the cast changeover. I thought he was excellent.
He was. We had done the meet and greet with him already before we did the parlor. And, he asked us, like, well, do you have a wish that I could make or come true? And at first I told him, I was like, how can you turn my son into a frog? And then he was like, well, do you have a wish that I could make true? And I'm like, well, can you make this cruise 7 nights instead of 5? And he's like, I can make it last forever. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if I want that. But.
I don't know if I want to stay forever, but yeah, no, that's funny. He's really, really good.
They are really, really amazing at improv. They do a wonderful job.
Did you find that they were which villains did you end up meeting? So you met Dr. Facilier. Who else?
We met Dr. Facilier. We met Maleficent. We met Cruella. We did miss Loki, so we didn't get to meet him.
Did you find the actors kind of playing to the kids? Because this is something I was wondering is their ability to sort of calibrate to the kid level a little bit.
I think they did. I mean, they still came off, especially Dr. Facilier still came off really creepy. When we met Maleficent, my kids don't really care for the character interactions. They're in it for the pictures and the autographs. But I talked to Maleficent and I was like, my daughter had just had her birthday a week before. And I was like, my daughter would like to invite you to her birthday party. And she's like, wise choice. You learned from from King Hubert's mistakes.
They're so good at like you said at the improv. I mean, they just sort of coming up with this stuff on the fly, right? Like playing into their backstory, right? That's the one thing you have to give them a ton of credit for because they really have to know the character so that they don't say something that's inconsistent with what their movie version of themselves would, do or say, but they have to be able to play into, somebody giving them sort of new information, right? And so yeah.
I enjoy playing with the characters much more than my kids do.
Yeah, clearly. I love that. Now, did you go to the Maleficent Under Her Spell show in Saga?
I did, but I went by myself because I couldn't pull my kids away from the pool deck.
Totally understand. What did you think of that? Obviously, it ends in a meet and greet if you want to do that. If you're down on the bottom floor in Saga, if you're on the upper floor in Saga, you don't get to participate in the meet and greet. But it's a show where she does, kind of tells part of the story of Maleficent and does kind of a spell with some audience interaction. What did you think of that show?
I thought it was fun. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it as well. I'm guessing you didn't get to do Troublemaking with Cruella.
I did. I ran off and left the kids with my husband and I was like, I'm going to go off and do this for a little bit and I'll be back.
Yeah, good job.
My husband's very, very good.
That's awesome. Well, I mean,
thankfully.
He's a stay-at-home dad, so he's used to being with the kids. I love that. Now, okay, so what did you think of What did you think of the space, of course, because DeVille's Lounge is, I think, beautiful. But then also, what did you think of the show?
It's beautiful, but it's just so small. It's much smaller than I expected. I mean, I didn't expect it to be huge, but it's quite small. So if you don't get there early, I had to go sit in a corner and then somebody else left. So then I went and got to sit at their table that they had vacated. But yeah, I felt like it was in the way at first because I was and then Zion Gamble run in and are almost falling over me because I'm kind of in the pathway a little bit. So yeah, it can be quite crowded if you don't get there early.
For sure. What did you think of the show? I mean, what did you think of Zion Gamble and, of course, of Cruella and just of the piano player? I mean, the whole interaction with the audience participation aspect is completely new. I mean, they don't do that on other. There are experiences on the Treasure now and on the Destiny, but not really on the rest of the fleet. And having only sailed on, the older ships, this is a much more interactive, different experience. What did you think of that?
I couldn't see some of it because the sightlines were not good from my location, so that was unfortunate. But like, I could hear everything, and it was quite funny. They were asking for ideas for the song that we were going to write for Cruella de Vil needs a new theme song, and it was a lot of fun hearing the suggestions from people and having them work it in to make the song.
Yes, I love that. I think it's really smart for instead of just being like a show with performers, performing for you, and the audience participation aspect, I think really gets more buy-in, right, from the audience. And it makes it just a more, I don't know, it's a more immersive experience, and it makes it, I think, more fun. And
you can do more than once because it'll be different each time you go.
Exactly. It's totally repeatable. Now, I think the Maleficent one is probably less repeatable. I'm not saying it isn't, there is some interaction with the audience member, but it's probably pretty similar each time. But but the Cruella show, I think, is more repeatable.
Are you listening to our show because you want to make the most out of your next vacation? Great news, the fabulous team over at My Path Unwinding Travel can help guide you so you don't miss a thing. Their team of professional travel advisors are caring, knowledgeable, and experienced. It's why we use them to book our own travel. My Path Unwinding Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner, which means they are recognized by Disney for their expertise and service. They have sailed on all the Disney ships, including in concierge, visited the theme parks, adventured with Disney, relaxed at Aulani, and so much more. Whether it's a Disney cruise, a theme park vacation, or Adventures by Disney, or if you are looking to expand beyond the mouse, My Path Unwinding Travel will elevate your next vacation planning experience. Even if you have already booked, reach out for a complimentary consultation to make your vacation even more magical. Ready to talk to the experts? Head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCL Duo or email dclduo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. Thanks, My Path Unwinding, for sponsoring today's show. Now back to the episode.
I'm also curious if you went to the fashion show, the Cruella's fashion show that happens in the Grand Hall on the Destiny as well, because that one is also a very audience participation, interactive. I don't know if your kiddos were willing to dress up and participate, or if they were again on the pool deck. But were you able to?
I did go with my older daughter. We did not dress up. I don't think I even knew that like there was the dress up, so I didn't bring any costumes for that. My daughter was like, yeah, she's like, she was too nice to some of those people because they didn't really try very hard. And like, she was still saying nice things about.
Well, she is right. And that's, I think, the point that Brian was making about calibrating to the younger, the family crowd, right? Like, I do think that Cruella on the ship is maybe not quite as mean as you expect her to be, right? She
was definitely probably the most approachable, I think, of the villains.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think
maybe Loki, but we didn't get a chance to meet Loki. But.
Sure, Loki he's a mix, right? Because he's he's a villain, but he's an anti-hero too, so he can kind of play to a little bit of both. For those who are deep into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he is also a hero at the same time as being a villain. So it's he's got those two sides. But yeah, I think Cruella is. You're not really afraid that she's going to kidnap your puppies and skin them for her coat. She's actually much more nice. Maybe she's more of that misunderstood villain, like in the live action Cruella movie with Emma Stone, I think. But all right, well, okay, so you didn't get to meet Loki, you mentioned. Did you go to any of the like Atrium other of the Atrium shows like The Legend of Loki or Celebration of a King, where you've got T'Challa or Loki and you get to sort of see them and hear their stories?
Yeah, so we went to Celebration of the King, and then we also went to the Sleeping Beauty and Princess and the Frog.
Oh, nice. So you got to see a lot of the storyteller stuff, which is, Zaya and Gamble retell The Princess and a Frog in a very silly way involving cooking. And then they also retell the story of Sleeping Beauty in the Atrium with audience participation. And it's also hilarious. I think those are also quite repeatable because, again, with the audience participation, it's going to be at least somewhat different, not like 100% different, but somewhat different each time. What was your impression of those? And did your kiddos come to see any of those?
I really liked them all. I thought they were great. My kids came to all three of them. I don't remember all the kids came to all three, but I think at least a couple. I know my son was there for all of them, and then at least one of my older kids was there for each of them. And I think that my oldest didn't like the celebration of the king because she's not a Marvel kid. And then, but I think both of them liked the Princess and the Frog and the Sleeping Beauty. And my daughter actually was one of the ones they called on for, because it's kind of Mad Libs that they do for the Princess and the Frog. And so she was one of the kids that they called on to give a suggestion for
for an animal or
a noun. And she said mom. So,
mom.
so mom got put in there somehow.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. I think those are actually those two retellings, The Sleeping Beauty and Princess and Frog, are very kid focused and family focused. I'd say those are like much more so than Celebration of a King or Legend of Loki. They're much more aimed at that younger crowd and that family crowd than sort of the Marvel themed stuff across the ship. Yeah.
We also did the Spider-Man hero training too in the atrium.
Oh, well, and you said your younger ones are big Spidey fans. Now, Spider-Man, I think the reason why Spider-Man is now so prominent in across Disney Cruise Line is really because of that like Spider-Man and Friends cartoon and the Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, right? Like the cartoon versions of Spider-Man have become very popular with the younger crowd. Yeah. What did your kiddos think of that hero training? Did they do all their poses and all of their dancing with Spider-Man?
Yeah, my oldest again was pouting because she doesn't like Marvel stuff, but my younger two really liked it, and my son was like, Spider-Man. He was very excited.
Did they get their picture and did they get an autograph from Spider-Man as well?
We did not do that this time because my little one doesn't do like really the character stuff. Like I tried on the last night with Minnie Mouse at the last event, and he said that he would go and hug her, and then he like of course buried his head and was like hiding behind my legs the whole time, and wouldn't go up and say hi to her or give her a hug. So yeah.
I mean, I don't blame him. Like, they have huge heads, right? They're not like normal looking. I mean, I love Mickey and Minnie, and I want a hug from them, and Donald and Daisy and Goofy and Pluto, right?
Minnie gave me a very nice hug. I prefer the face characters, though.
Yeah, see, and I prefer the head characters actually, not the face characters. But I understand from like a toddler's perspective, they are looking up at this ginormous thing with this ginormous head, right? Like, I might be a little scared if I was in your toddler's position too.
Yeah,
so, I mean, it's like the same thing even with Santa Claus, right? Like people love these pictures of their toddlers like screaming, like, get me away from this stranger who is Santa Claus, you know?
On our first cruise, we met Spider-Man. My daughter was actually about a year older than my son is now. And we were like the last people in line. So she was like, she really wanted to meet Spider-Man, but she was really scared, at the same time. And he did everything he could to like try to get her to like come out of her shell. He was like hanging off the railing, and like he wrote like a very nice like autograph in her book with like, dear Rosie, keep on web slinging, and was like just really sweet. The characters are so nice.
They are. They're so good. They do a really, really good job with their casting. I feel like even Spider-Man's voice, I don't know if you like paid attention to his voice, but he is really, really, really good on the Destiny. I mean, I did one of the meet and greets. I went to that hero training, but I also did one of the meet and greets, and I was like super impressed with the way he was doing Peter Parker's voice. It was, super, super good. Love it. All right. Well, you had not been on a Wish class ship before, so you had not yet experienced like the rotational dining that is on the Wish class, which includes, of course, 1923 Worlds of Marvel, and new to the fleet, Pride Lands, which is the Lion King themed restaurant. I got to ask what you thought of what you thought of the food quality, but also the theming, and then of course what your kiddos thought of all three restaurants.
I think that we weren't quite as impressed with the food quality on this cruise compared to some of our other cruises, although we've kind of been disappointed on our last couple of cruises, unfortunately, with the food. Although we did really like a couple of the dishes we had in Pride Lands, and it was nice that we had like something a little bit different on this ship. I think the theming was great in both Pride Lands, but also Marvel. My daughters love the trivia. It was our first night on the cruise. We did that, and while my oldest, again, not a Marvel fan, so she was like, "Oh, Marvel, do we have to go to this?" She ended up really having fun with pushing the buttons and making it light up. My middle daughter loved it and had the best time with that.
Love that. Awesome. And then did you all like 1923? It's obviously the sort of, I mean, it's themed, but it's themed for us Disney adults, I would say. Like it's the, classic movies and animation and models and whatnot. But it also gives that 1920s, old Hollywood feel. What did you guys think of that theming?
From our location, we really couldn't see much of the memorabilia, so I didn't think that I really got to see. I've heard really great things about it, but I didn't get to see very much, and I didn't really take the time to look around the restaurant like at the end of the meal or before the meal to see if there was anything else we could see.
Now, what did you think of Pride Lands in terms of the show there? And I'm very curious as to whether or not it kept the attention of your kids.
I was a little worried it was going to be too loud because I'd heard that had been an issue. So we did bring our kids' headphones to the meal just in case they needed it. My middle daughter is especially sensitive to loud noise. So I was worried that she was going to be really upset if it was too loud for her. But she didn't end up wearing them. So we didn't end up needing them. We were actually right off the stage, but we had a pillar that was kind of blocking some of our view, which was unfortunate. But I really liked it. You don't really need to see it because it's not like that kind of show per se. But I really liked hearing the singing during the meal, and I thought it was just a really nice accompaniment.
Yeah, I think the decor is really complements it as well. Like, because you're right, it's not a show necessarily that you have to watch because it's not like watching a play, right? It's more storytelling. So it's more about like hearing the music. There is some dance and there's, of course, some drumming that are nice to see, but you don't have to have a great view in order to enjoy the show. But I think the atmosphere also sort of adds to it, right? Like it enhances the experience that you've got all these decorations on the walls and these sort of windows where you might see like Timon and Pumbaa or like some other animals.
But I really like the hallway walking into to Pride Lands. I thought it was really well decorated.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's a very long hallway.
It is a long hallway. It's the same as on the Wish and on the Treasure, it's the same hallway. It's exact same shape room. And so, but on the Wish, I actually think is kind of does the best job with that hallway because you know how in Arendelle in the movie in Frozen where Anna starts talking to all the portraits on the wall, right? When she's kind of stuck in the house by herself until they open the gates. Well, it's just like that. You're walking down the hallway and you see all these different portraits, and it's all the portraits that Anna talks to. And so I think actually it's one of those things that I actually think is perhaps better on the Wish than on the Treasure and the Destiny, which is very, very limited number of things that I could say that about, but that's maybe one of them. That hallway is, because it is a very long hallway, and so getting to see at least some cool artwork on the way down is nice. All right, well, we would be remiss if I, of course, didn't ask you about the shows. Sounds like you were able to bring your toddler even to the shows. Yeah. Did you go to all 3 shows? And what was your impression and what were the kids' impressions?
So we were testing it out the first night with CC Adventure since it is a shorter show. We're like, we'll see how it goes and see if he is okay with it or not. And he did fine. He watched the whole thing. He might have been in his seat for part of it, but he was on my lap for part of it too. But it kept his attention and he was perfectly happy the whole time. I liked it. I thought it was fine. It wasn't my favorite show, but it was good. And then the next show was then Hercules, which we got in line an hour before. We were actually the first people in line
nice.
for the
Rope
show.
dropping. Yeah.
But when we got in the theater, like there were so many like concierge people in there that we couldn't even find a place where all 5 of us could sit together, like had like a decent view that wasn't like off to one side or the other. And one concierge group in particular had a bunch of seats that they were holding for people that weren't there.
That were not concierge. That's what they were doing.
Well, there were like like 2 or 3 like sections or 3 rows in a section on each row that they were trying to hold with like maybe 4 people. And I was like, no. They said no saved seats, no saved seats. And I just like walked right past her and sat down. The person behind me like gave me a high five.
Because it's not like, I gotta say, like, I have no problem if you're saving like 1 or 2 seats for like your kids who are getting popcorn or in the bathroom or they're just coming from dinner, right? Like you went there early to get in line, right? Like, but like you can't save like 2 rows for people. Like that's not cool. You're not, like, as you said, Jessica, you're actually not allowed to save seats. But I think nobody will like sort of look at you sideways if you're saving 1 or 2 seats, especially because a lot of the time you do have somebody waiting in line for popcorn or at the
bathrooms or whatever.
Exactly.
I mean, things come up. That's fine.
Yeah,
but yeah, not like whole rows of seats. And so we sat down and the people were like grumbling and complaining, but like the people that they were saving the seats for, like either didn't show up at all or showed up like 5 minutes before the show time. And like the ushers at some point were just like, no, you have to let these people sit here. And yeah, so the people were grumbling, but yeah, get there at least by the time that the doors open. If like they're going to save seats, like, you know, or like just right after maybe, but not like right before showtime. Come on.
Exactly. Well, what did you think of Hercules?
I loved it. I loved the muses. I thought it was just really well put together. I have a background in like, I did high school theater. So, you know, I'm not a pro by any stretch of the imagination, but I certainly have an appreciation for theater. My husband's not a big musicals fan. I've actually had to trick him to go to musicals in the past. But
how did you trick him? Wait, I need to know your secrets, Jessica. How did you trick him?
Yeah, she needs to put me on mute so she can.
Brian, earmuffs. Yeah.
Well, when we were dating, I used to go to these shows at this like theater not too far away from us in Balboa Park in San Diego. And I just told him that I bought tickets to a play and we were going to go to a play. And he was fine with plays, but I neglected to leave out the musical. To mention that it was a musical. Until he read on the program, like, a musical, and he was like, what did you do? He sat there, he behaved himself, but he wasn't happy with me. But he married me anyway, so.
Brian is similar. He would prefer to go to a play over a musical. I'm always team musical. Not that I enjoy plays as well, but musicals are certainly number 1 on the list. All right, well, what about Frozen? Did you go see Frozen on board?
We had seen Frozen once before, but we went to see it again. And I thought it was a little bit better on this one versus the previous one. But I thought it was also very good. Very well done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's always like, nuances in the different casts, right? You might have like all of the casts across Disney Cruise Line are wonderful, but Destiny 1 cast, you're talking like cream of the crop performers, right? Like whenever they launch a new ship, that first cast, they had like the most time to rehearse of any cast, and 2 they are generally the cream of the crop, right? Like they can get some performers for that first cast that might not be willing to come for a later cast. And so I stand by the notion that the first cast is usually of the stage performers. It's not the same of the restaurants and things like that. They're usually the best on the whole. There are always going to be standouts in every cast, but on the whole, the first cast for any newly launched ship is going to be number 1. Yeah.
Yeah. When we booked it, that was one of the things I kind of like counted out. I'm like, I think it'll still be the first cast.
Yeah. You still got to see Corey J. Bradford as Hercules, and fantastic cast. Yeah. Such a great cast. All right. Well, what have we missed? Your kids, you mentioned that your kids spent some time on the pool deck. Did they enjoy, are they big pool kids, kid soup?
They really, really enjoyed just sitting in the pools and watching Funnel Vision. They loved that. And my youngest was in the splash pad a lot of the time. And he really liked the little mini kid slides and the splash pad that you got to go
the
on
little like
over
toy,
and over.
yeah, the
and
little
over
Toy
again.
Story themed splash pad on the Wish class is nice. That's awesome. Have we missed anything? Were there other things you guys did? Are the kids into any of the like the family trivias or family game shows or anything like that?
We did not really get to do any of that because I think my youngest obviously is too young, and I didn't want to put him in the dreaded baby club. So we didn't really get to do any of those types of activities. And I don't know that we're really big trivia people anyway. I actually stopped by the Muppet trivia that they had going on when we were in line for Dr. Facilier's Parlor. And I'm like, wow, I do not know any of these answers. So I'm probably just not like a trivia person. I did watch some of the Hercules trivia when I was in line for something else in outside of Saga, I guess. And I knew a couple of those answers, but it was like the day after we had just watched the Hercules musical. So it was kind of like cheating. We got some of the answers from the show the night before.
From the show, yeah. Well, I will say there are some family game shows. This is for probably a year or two from now when your littlest one is a little bit older, but like the family game shows, not the trivias, you might get a kick out of those. Those are the ones where you're interactive and you're like, how well do you know your family member and things like that. Those can be really fun, and they're not really trivia based, or they're like very much more general and less hardcore trivia based.
I did take the kids to the Haunted Mansion Parlor.
Oh,
what do you think?
And they like my oldest, of course, again, underwhelmed. She's like going on teenager years.
Yeah, she's a 9-year-old going on 15.
9-year-old going on 15,
Yeah.
So that's just to be expected. But they all like the fish in the fish tank. I think my middle kid was probably the one that was kind of looking around the most and most interested in everything. My little one, like, when it kind of progressively gets darker and like the lights start flickering and stuff, he would like kind of bury his head in my shoulder and be like, spooky, spooky mama. And then when it like all this cycle ends and it restarts and it gets light again, then he turned to me, he's like, not spooky mama. And it was just really funny how he was like, oh, like it's not spooky anymore. But like then the fish went away and then he was upset that he couldn't see the fish anymore.
I'm curious, what were your kids' favorite things? Did they say? Like, did they have a favorite?
I think my second daughter would definitely say the kids club was her favorite. I think both of my girls really, really liked the pool deck, and that was probably their favorite thing. Besides, again, the kids club. And then my youngest also really liked the splash pad. I would say their favorite things were probably mostly up there.
Yeah, that makes sense. These are the same things on the Wish class that or the same things on the older classes of ships that entertain the kids are the same things that are going to enter. And
They're crowd pleasers.
Yeah, I think that brings me to the ultimate question. And one of the things that one of the reasons why we wanted to have you and others like you on the show is to figure out, like, is there enough for little kids on the Destiny to entertain them, right? Because obviously it's a ship that's more focused on heroes and villains and a lot of Marvel focus that maybe those kids are not going to be as into, and all three of your kids have sort of different levels of interest in these various things. But yeah, did you find that there was enough in the 5 days to entertain all three of the kids?
I think the basic things are going to be the same on all the ships, right? And so like the kids club, the pool deck, I mean, not the same, but like generally, the same availability of things. And so that's going to be enough for most kids. And yeah, I don't know that they would want to like repeat like the Destiny like a lot of times, because again, they've met the characters. That's kind of the thing that they were interested in specifically about the Destiny. But as far as if they like maybe continued to change maybe the villains that they have, like instead of having Maleficent and Cruella, I mean, they're always going to have Cruella because of Devils, but what about the Evil Queen? Or what about the like Hades or Mother Gothel? Like, could they like introduce different villains? Is it going to be the same villains for years, or are they going to like switch it up at some point and maybe also change up some of the the shows that Zaya and Gamble do. Like I'm sure that some of those things will end up being very repeatable, depending on how they choose to to mix it up down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, they don't expect that every family is going to be on, like, that your family is going to go on the Destiny 5 times in 1 year, right? Like, they know that. Like, they're like, you're going to go on the Destiny once in a year, and then you might go back a couple of years later on that ship. You might hit a couple other ships in the meantime, right? So I think that, there is definitely opportunity for them to change out. They're not going to change out the villains in the first year. There's no question, right? They're going to use the things that they've already created and imagineered. But maybe a couple years from now, they may change up or add some villains, take some away, change up some of the Marvel offerings as well. Like there's definitely those possibilities. And, they can sort of shuffle things across the fleet. I'm not sure. That ship will always be a heroes and villains themed ship, and will always have a lot of Marvel on it. But you're right, there is opportunity to kind of switch some things up. But Brian, I think we've reached that point in the show.
I think we have. So, Jessica, I am going to hand you back over to Sam for some arbitrary questions, some arbitrary rules, and more than a dash of judgment, or the round we know as rapid fire. Sam, take it away.
All right, Jessica, you knew this was coming. I'm going to ask you some Disney favorites and then some Disney Cruise Line favorites. And of course, with your Disney Cruise Line answers, you're limited to answering with ships that you have already been on. So you can't answer with something off of the Wish or the Treasure, limited to ships you've experienced yourself. So we're going to start, though, with your favorite Disney character. And Disney means anything and everything that Disney owns.
Well, we already talked about the Muppets. So Muppets are my favorite, but specifically from the Muppets, I would say Kermit, Gonzo, and Animal are my favorite. And then if we're talking just like regular Disney, then I would go Sebastian.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Well, listen, it's a great trio. I would sub out Fozzie Bear, though. I would put Fozzie Bear and Gonzo and Kermit.
He's always a little too cringe dad joke for me.
I love his cringy dad jokes. I would take Animal out. Yeah, I would take Animal out because he's just a little too like psycho for me. but I love Gonzo and love Kermit. So. All right. Well, favorite Disney movie?
I'm going to have to go with Muppet Christmas Carol. I was really racking my brain this morning trying to think of what one would be the one I would say. But Muppet Christmas Carol is one I can watch over and over again in the holiday season, obviously. And just love it.
All right. Favorite Disney song?
Again, if we're going Muppets, then Rainbow Connection. If we're going non-Muppets, then I would say Under the Sea.
Awesome. Both great options. All right. We're going to shift over to Disney Cruise Line. And I've got to start with shows. As a recovering theater person, middle school and high school theater person myself, I got to ask you, what is your favorite Disney main stage show on Disney Cruise Line from the ones you've seen?
I think I got to give it to Hercules.
It's so good, right?
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. And you've seen Beauty and the Beast, so.
I didn't love Beauty and the Beast as much as you do. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It wasn't my favorite. I think if I had to pick a second favorite, it would probably be Tangled.
Well, Tangled is wonderful too. I can't fault you for putting Tangled second, but I love Beauty and the Beast. I just think it's an amazing staging. But all right. Well, moving on, let's shift over to favorite onboard activity. What's a favorite activity that you like to do? This could be solo, it could be with the family, but I don't want your kids' favorite activity. I want your favorite activity.
I do like the characters as far as when I get to like talk to the face characters. I mean, I'm not like going to hug or like picture, but like when I get to interact with them, I think it's fun.
I mean, like inviting Maleficent to your kid's birthday party. I love it. All right. What about dining? We got to talk rotational dining first. Which rotational dining restaurant that you've eaten in is your favorite?
Are we talking just the Destiny or any ship?
No, any of the ships you've been on.
Probably go with Tangled again.
Yeah, I love Rapunzel's Royal Table on the Disney Magic. What a great one. Okay, shifting to food, I got to ask a favorite sweet item and a favorite savory item on a Disney cruise. It could be from your Destiny cruise, but it could be from a previous cruise. Let's start with the sweets because we save the best for last and the savories are the best. So what's a favorite sweet item?
Well, in prizes, we had a really, really good pineapple upside down cake. I really like that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's on that second night menu that we have not had yet. So I'm jealous. I love a pineapple upside down cake. So, all right. What about favorite savory item?
Well, I was also making notes from Prime Lands again. So they had this hand pie on the appetizers. That was both my husband and I really, really liked that. And then they had a braised short rib that I thought was really good too.
Yeah, we've been hearing about this short rib, and Brian has not gotten a chance to eat it. But that's like, I feel like if there's a short rib on a menu, then Brian's ordering it. That's his thing. That's his jam. All right. Well, what about favorite place to relax on the ship?
Yeah, it's just nice to be on the pool deck, and especially when I'm not the one that's like following my like little one around at the splash pad, because then I can either relax in the pool, or if I want to like sit on a lounge chair and like read while the others are in the pool, then that's great too. But,
awesome.
but yeah,
That's why I give kudos to those lifeguards on the pool deck, because they're watching the kids in the pool and I could lay in the lounger. I love it. Absolutely. All right. Well, now I have to ask you the most important question, which is, which one is your favorite ship? Remind us of the ships that you've been on and then tell us which one is your favorite.
So our first ship was the Magic, then we went on the Fantasy, and then we went on the Dream last fall, and then now the Destiny. So I really, really like the Destiny. That's probably number one, but a close second is actually the Magic. And we didn't like the Dream class quite as much. They're still great, but they're just not our favorites.
But you did love the Midship Detective Agency.
Yes, although I never completed it. I did the Muppet one, and I got like probably 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through it, and then we didn't finish.
That's shameful, Jessica. I'm disappointed in you.
And you're really you saved the judgment on our last guest. You're just putting it all now. I apologize.
We could go see like Pepe's door and all that. It was great.
Yes, and the
I
board.
loved some of those touches. Those were wonderful.
They're so good. It's so good. I love the Midship Detective Agency, and it's really it's part of it is because I love the interactivity of it, but also because I love the Muppets, and the Muppet storyline is the best one on that.
My kids don't want to do the Muppets though, so they want to do like the puppies. And I'm like, no, we can do the Muppets, and so that's the main hang up for me is that they get irritated when I want to do the Muppets, and they want to do
that's just
puppies.
The problem with having children, you know.
I think I'm going to convince my second daughter that she's a Muppet fan, though. She was really into watching Muppet Christmas Carol last holiday season, although that might have just been because it really irritated her oldest sister. I'm not sure if it was that she actually enjoyed it or if she just enjoyed making her upset. So
listen, just play to that sibling rivalry, so you get a partner and a Muppet partner in crime. Okay, you need one, absolutely. All right, now the last question of rapid fire is, of course, your bucket list cruise. Jessica, if you could go anywhere in the world on a Disney Cruise Line ship, and it doesn't have to be someplace that Disney cruises currently, but it could be, it's just someplace accessible by water. Where are you going?
Well, I really, really want to do a Panama Canal cruise, but if I had to pick like anything, one of my coworkers is actually going on an Iceland cruise during like the solar eclipse in August. And so if that was on a Disney ship, I would be like, sign me up.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Jessica, you eked it out. You passed, okay? They're going to give you a passing grade for that, even though you didn't finish the Muppets. Midship Detective.
Next
time, absolutely. Next time you're on a Dream class ship, you're gonna have to, absolutely. But I know what Brian wants to ask, so I'll let him ask it rather than jumping in.
What's next, Jessica?
We don't have any cruises booked right now. We do have a placeholder. We are going to Disneyland in like a week and a half. So
nice.
That takes the sting out of it for sure.
Yeah, you're just like a hop, skip, and a jump away from Disneyland. So
yeah, they had the 3-day Southern California passes a couple months ago, so we snagged those, and so we've got 2 days coming up, and then another day before they expire in May.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well,
Jessica, go ahead, Sam.
I was going to say exactly what you were going to say. I was just going to say thank you so much for coming on the show. Please, reach out to us when you've got your next Disney cruise booked, and we'd be happy to have you come back and share more of your cruising experience with us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Well, thanks to everyone out there for listening this week. We really, really appreciate it. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you can keep getting great content from us every week. In fact, twice a week we publish shows, so be sure to hit the subscribe button to get all of those great episodes. And if you want to watch us live, we have a live show now every week, Monday nights, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, over on youtube.com/DCLDuo. So be sure to head over and check that out. If you want to help support the show, be sure to hit those 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you leave us a written review, a 5-star written review, we will read it at the top of one of our main episodes. So please head over there and hit those 5 stars. Of course, you can also help support the show by supporting our fabulous show sponsor, My Path Unwinding Travel. If you want to book your next Disney vacation, head over to mypathunwinding.com/DCLDuo or email them at DCLDuo@mypathunwinding.com so they know we sent you their way. If you've got questions or you'd like to connect with us, the best way to do that is to head over to DCLDuo.com. It's got links to all of our things, full catalog of the podcast episodes, including a searchable catalog for the podcast, links off to our vlog, a link to our Etsy store where we sell some fun fan-inspired magnets, link to our Patreon if you'd like to help directly support the show each and every month. Just head over to the website or patreon.com/DCLDuo. Also has a way for you to sign up for our Substack newsletter that we're hoping to start really pumping out monthly here at least, and a few blog articles that we've written. So DCLDuo.com is the best way to connect with us. You can also, of course, email us at info@DCLDuo.com or reach out to us on our voicemail line at 402-413-5590. That's 402-413-5590. The DCL Duo podcast is not affiliated with Disney Cruise Line, the Disney Company, or the Disney family of theme parks. The views expressed on the show are solely those of the individuals on the podcast and in no way reflect the views of the Disney Company or Disney Cruise Line. If you have questions about a Disney cruise or a Disney vacation, please contact the great folks over at My Path Unwinding Travel or Disney directly, or your own travel agent. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time for another fabulous adventure with the DCL Duo. Good night.